Good morning. I have officially been on this train for 24 hours. So, yeah. Can you see all the wind turbines? They're so beautiful. There's a lot farm in the back there too. And a whole wind. Wow. Oh my goodness. It goes as far as the eye can see. 2 more hours till Chicago. We're almost there. Okay, so I started here and I went down to here. We went all the way to West Virginia, all the way up here where I woke up this morning. Now we're there and we are going to head all the way up there, right to the end, right there. Wisconsin, approaching the Wisconsin Dells.
And also, ladies and gentlemen, quick reminder. Final call for 7:15. Last and final call.
So they did last call and then they did last and final call.
Fisherman. Looks big enough. Oh, that's a buoy. That was a buoy. Could you imagine living right on this? Never. Haha. Some random football game. There's the Winona State Warriors. Alright, so there's the police. They're going after me. Hi everyone, so I'm downstairs. It's really late at night and I wanted to share something with you. Something happened tonight. There was a man on the train who was really drunk, and from the beginning he was like asking people they want to go to San Diego that were being rerouted to San Diego, and people were like, haha, okay, bye. But he didn't stop, and at one point he had kind of maybe inadvertently cornered me, but I didn't really think anything of it because it could have been an accident. But again, like, oh, we're going to San Diego, we're going to the zoo, what do you want to see? And I'm like, oh, big cat, bye. But prior to that, a lot of stuff happened because my dinner got pushed back so far that I actually wound up giving someone else my reservation. I gave it back to the conductor. I was like, look, I'm gonna do something else, so if anyone needs to eat, like, they can have this. And he's like, oh, you're so nice. And I'm like, really, it's fine. So I kind of had a rapport with the conductor. So I went to the cafe, got something to eat, went back up to the lounge, and didn't really eat. It was kind of not the greatest night tonight, but then, oh, that changed. So I decided to go back down to the cafe to get a blanket, and when I went down there, this guy was I believe she said her name was Aisha, was giving her a really hard time about cutting him off because he's like, oh, I just want to buy a $5 beer. And she's like, no, sir. Or at first she was like, ooh. At first she was like, you know, come back in a little bit and then I'll, you know, make my decision. But he wasn't having it. So then she sees me and she's like, sir, let me help her. So I walk up there and I ask, oh, can I buy a blanket here? She goes, yeah. And then, like, under my breath, I said to her, I go, I'm not leaving until he does. So, you know, so we talked about Pokemon, this crazy guy who, like, spent $1,200 on stuff and his wife is, like, gonna divorce him. Like, we had this great talk, and then he comes back. So he starts giving her a hard time again. Oh, you gotta reconsider. Come on, I'm good. And like the whole time, it was very strange. He had his arm under his shirt, like he like, I don't know, almost like it was in a sling under his shirt, but at first glance you would think he didn't have an arm, but then there was like a definite bump here. Like, it was very weird. So he's giving her a hard time, and he said, oh yeah, I'll even tip you, come on, you want two more beers, and then it went down to one. And she's like, no sir, no. And then he went and sat down. I'm like, this is not ending. So we talked some more. Now I would say at least 10 minutes, if not 15 minutes have gone by, and he comes up again, and I put my phone recorder on, like voice memos, I'm recording, and he starts getting really belligerent with her, and then like asking to talk to the conductor, and she's like, yeah, I'll call the conductor. But so then he started cursing, and I have the recorder going, and she's like, what did you say? And he's like, oh, I'm talking to the dog. There was a dog there, by the way. It doesn't really have to do with the story. Oh, I'm talking to the dog. The dog? And then he like said something about her weed, and it was like very like, are you kidding me right now? So she wound up calling a second time for a conductor to come down immediately. And at that point, another man came down, very tall. His name is Tony, I know now, and he stayed down there too, because like I won't get ahead of myself, but he stayed down there too. So then the conductors come down, and I've recorded parts of it. I have, like, yeah, I got it. So so the conductor like asked her, like, was he really cursing you out, what's going on? And she says yes. And then, you know, I had said I recorded, and then Tony goes, she has the whole thing on recording. And the conductor's like, did you have him recording? I go, yeah. And I started playing some of it, and it's kind of faint, but you can clearly hear him cursing her out. So then it actually got to the point where he threatened the conductor, and at that point the conductor was like, oh no, like, no. this has gone on far enough, absolutely not. And then Tony says, look, I've been with this guy since I think Washington DC, you know, to Chicago, now to here. He's been, not only has he been drunk the whole time, but he said he has a gun in his bag. And at that point, conductor immediately calls the police, right? He's like, no. So then I don't know what you call him, but the train worker, helper, I don't know, little conductors, I don't know what you call them, follow him up to his seat, so he's supervised the whole time. And then we're stopped at St. Paul, Minnesota, my first introduction to Minnesota, and I'm in the lounge. I had told the conductor I would be there just in case he needed me or the recordings. And I look outside, and the guy's outside, and then a few minutes later, police are there. So I'm watching this, they wound up frisking him, like the whole thing. It was very, very serious. And I was like, you know what, let me go out there, because if they need a recording, I want to be there so they don't have to like go looking for me or anything. So I go down there, and I stand next to, I learned his name is Tony, and he says to me, he goes, you're a superhero. And I was like, oh, don't. And he goes, no, from a wannabe superhero, you're a superhero. And I was like, it wasn't that big of a deal. And he goes, no, I'm a combat veteran, you're a superhero, and you're a first responder. And at that point, I started tearing up, because, I mean, there is no higher praise. There's no higher praise, absolutely no higher praise. And so we went up to the police officer, and he let him know that I had a recording if they needed. But this guy, he was doing enough talking on his own. They didn't even need my recordings, but I wanted to be there just in case. You know, why not? I have recordings. And they go through this guy's bag, and they pull out a half-drunk bottle of, it almost looked like gin. I don't know what it was. It was a dark liquor, though. And it's like, oh, that explains it, because you don't get that drunk on 4 beers. So, yeah, it was. And then I saw the police officer take a pill bottle out of a bag, but I don't know specifics on that one. And this guy, he wouldn't let up. And then he started like threatening to sue the police, and like, oh, how do I know he's not stealing stuff out of my bag? And I think it might have been at that point that the police officer started pouring the alcohol out onto the platform. Well, the track, not on the tracks, but like that part. Yeah, this guy, they're like, look, we're not gonna arrest you, but you gotta get a hotel. You're not getting back on this train. And he was removed from the train. They did not find a gun, thankfully. But yeah, it was quite a night. And I talked to Tony, and he was born in New Jersey too. So what are the chances? And we just, yeah, it was a night. It was a night.